Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about geolocation routing in AWS Route 53. And this is a way to route requests depending on where the requests are coming from. So this diagram demonstrates it nicely. So if you have, let's say, a US user, it's going to route it to an EC2 in the US region. And if you have a European user, it's going to route it to an EC2 in the European region. So we've got a similar setup here. I'm going to go through that in a second. I'm just going to point you to the documentation at AWS. You can see here that geolocation routing is one of the routing policies that you can use. And as you can see here, it says it's based on the geographic location of your users. So in our case, we have 3 EC2 instances in 3 different regions. We have one here in Paris, which is in the EU West 3 region, and then you have one here which is in Sydney, which is in AP Southeast 2, and then you also have one here in the US in North Virginia, which is in US East 1. And now each of these instances, by the way, has a unique string that it generates, and it's going to show you the availability zone and the host name of that instance. So then we'll be able to identify which instance is actually serving our requests, which I'll show you when we do that. And then in our Route 53, we have 3 records set up. We have one of these, the first record is if it's for US locations, it's going to send it to the US instance. If it's from Ireland, I have it sending it to Sydney. I had to kind of do that because with my VPN it wasn't working properly when I would set it to be in Australia. So it works when I set my VPN to be in Ireland. So in Ireland, for the Irish users, it's going to send it to the Sydney EC2 instance, and then for everybody else, it's going to send it to the Paris EC2 instance. So I'm going to show that how that works. And what I have here, I just want to make sure that you see it. So here I have the geolocation routing policy, and it's set as default here. And then in this one, I have the geolocation, and it's set for Ireland, and with the IP of the Australia EC2 instance. And then this one is again, geolocation routing policy US. You can actually change it. You can set it by state as well. I just left it as all of US. And then this is the EC2 in US East 1. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where I am right now. So I set my VPN to be in Ireland right now. If I go to this page here, if I refresh it, it should show. Okay, so it shows that I'm in Ireland right now, and we said that if we're in Ireland, it's going to show us the Sydney EC2 instance. And if I copy that and paste that here, okay, there it is. It's showing us AP Southeast 2A and 172.31.11.137. And if we look at the instance in Sydney, which is this one here, if we copy the IP, it's going to actually show us the exact same message. There. So it's showing us, so we know that it is hitting that Sydney EC2 instance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to the US, change my VPN to put me in the US, and then we're going to hit the same endpoint, which is this guy right here, and it should now show us the EC2 coming in from the US. I'm going to pause the video and come back when I'm in the US. Okay, so we're back. I'm now in the US. I'm gonna refresh this, and okay, so there we go. So it's showing I'm in the US, I'm in Washington. So now, if we go to our endpoint and we refresh this page, we should see the message coming from the US East EC2. And there it is. So it's showing us the availability zone is US East 1D, and there's the IP. I'm going to go to that instance directly, which is right here, and if I copy that IP, it should show us the exact same message. Copy that, and there's the same message. So I'm going to go back to the endpoint. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to my current location, which is actually in Canada, and I'm going to turn off my VPN and go back to this endpoint and see that now I should get the default one, which is the Paris one. So I'm going to disconnect from my VPN. I'm going to go to here and refresh, and it should show me as in Canada. There it is. So it's showing me that I'm in Canada. And now, if I go to my Route 53 endpoint like this, if I refresh this, now I should get the one coming from Paris. Okay, there it is. So it's EUS3B, and if I go to the instance in Paris, which is this guy right here, and copy that IP, and I should get the exact same message that I'm getting displayed right now. Okay, there it is. So now we've shown here how, depending on where you're coming from, where the request is coming from, you're going to be routed to a different region that by Route 53.